So why should the minimum wage be raised? Uh, I want to keep this video kind of brief. You know, I don't like to be long-winded in my explanations, but sometimes I can tend to be. So, the minimum wage was established because companies were abusing workers. Unions had to fight for it, just like we have to fight for it to be raised now. They won't. They'll do whatever they can to pinch any penny. That's why they outsource jobs. That's why they ignore environmental regulation when they can, or pay people to get it off the books because they know that it is going to affect their bottom line, and it's pathetic. So what happened was they got the minimum wage established. They started paying workers that. It went up for a period of time, but for the last 30 years, the only raises in the federal minimum wage have been essentially nullified by inflation and the rise in the cost of living and all those things. So the middle class, which is disappearing because of this, hasn't seen a raise in 30 years, while everything else, like the cost of living and stuff like that, has continued to rise. So that's one of the biggest fundamental problems we have right now with our economy, is that people, the main base, the 99%, aren't getting the fair share for our labor, and because of that, we don't have the ability to buy as much stuff as we would, which is why I can't understand why companies, especially the big ones like Walmart, don't want people to have more money, because right now people are just barely scraping by, and with a raise in the minimum wage, people would have more discretionary income, so they would be able to go out and buy a little bit extra food. Well, not even extra, because right now a lot of people are under eating because they don't have enough money to get adequate nutrition throughout the entire month, so they're trying to ration. It's just incredible. People are sacrificing things that they would want to get because they have to survive. They have to get food, they have to pay rent, they have to, pay bills, whatever their bills are, medical bills, blah, 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 electricity. So when you raise the minimum wage to a living wage, so people can have more than just enough to scrape by, and in a lot of cases it's not even enough to scrape by. It opens up the economy. We're already the largest market in the world. So imagine if we actually restored our middle class, if we actually paid people enough to where they could, not have to worry about sacrificing things, if they could live in a semi-comfortable way. So a company, say they have 30 employees. All those employees, their salary is going to go up a lot. So that company's wage expense is going to be increased a good amount. But I would argue that because every single one of their customers will likely also be receiving, more money every week or every month or whatever, they will be able to bring in much more revenue, which will offset the increase in wage expense. So, and in a lot of projections that I've done, just basic calculations, they actually end up making more money, because a lot of the, more revenue than they do, more profit than they do today, because a lot of these companies have, obviously so many more customers than they do employees. So even when you calculate for their customers only spending a fraction of their new wages, of their discretionary income at these companies, because their customer bases are so large compared to the employees they have, that wage increase actually ends up coming back to them from customers with more disposable income. So and that's just a very big, you can get into it, you can get into macroeconomic trends and all of that, and a lot of it's kind of skewed because people will point to when Obama, I forget the specifics of it, but he had given some sort of a check out to certain lower income people, but it was like a couple $100 or something like that. I learned about it a couple years ago in macroeconomics, so I don't remember the specifics, but he gave people money with the idea that they would go out and spend it and it would trickle up. it would go up through the system and create more spending and go around and around and around, you know. But what he did was he also said that in, it was like 3 years or something, he would ask for that money back from the people. So people were afraid to spend it. That's a stupid idea. What we need to do is create more spending. And if in the process we can help people, increase their happiness and their standard of living, I don't understand why we wouldn't do that, especially if the companies are in position to make more profit from it, which seems to be their one and only motivation. Free thinking progressive voice.